ORF, 16th of March 2024, Crossing Currents, the dispute between India and China and the Teesta dilemma in Bangladesh. China has been pursuing Bangladesh while constructing its water extortion strategy in the Himalayas, which would ultimately compel Bangladesh to submit to Chinese authority. On January 28, 2024, the Chinese ambassador to Bangladesh, Yao Wen, met with the newly appointed foreign minister, Hasan Mahmud, in Bangladesh, less than a month after the 12th Bangladesh parliamentary election. He invited Bangladeshi Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to China for a visit during the meeting to foster bilateral cooperation and promote mutual understanding. The invitation and subsequent acceptance are expected due to the strong bilateral ties between the two nations. However, it is worth noting Beijing's consistent declaration of its opposition to external interference in Bangladesh. During the pre-election period, Chinese Premier Xi Jinping issued his initial proclamation, affirming China's support for Prime Minister Hasina's resistance to external pressures, as the United States, U.S., consistently imposed sanctions to ensure democratic elections. U.S.-Bangladesh relations have developed a marked contempt for this issue over the past year, with Hasina accusing the U.S. of human rights violations on Bangladeshi soil and the U.S. expressing concern over election irregularities in Dhaka. The potential consequences of China's increased involvement in Bangladesh to fill a potential American void are the subject of growing speculation, as is the relationship between New Delhi and Dhaka. In recent years, China's assertive ascent in South Asian nations has caused India concern due to the expansion of Beijing's influence in its vicinity. Bangladesh, boasting a strategic location that provides access to vital shipping routes and considerable hydrocarbon reserves in the Bay of Bengal, is an attractive partner for China, given its status as the second-largest South Asian economy. Bangladesh is significant to India because it is its immediate eastern neighbor and shares the fifth-longest border on the globe. As a result, both India and China are actively fostering relations with Dhaka in various spheres, thereby bolstering the nation's foreign revenue, which is fundamental to its progress and well-being. China ranks as the second-largest provider of foreign aid to Bangladesh and the third-largest foreign direct investment (FDI) source. In contrast, India ranks among the top 10 sources of foreign direct investment (FDI) for Dhaka and is the second-largest commercial partner of the city. Furthermore, it provides bilateral foreign assistance from non-aid group countries at the third-largest level. Bangladesh receives fundamentally three distinct types of foreign assistance: food aid, commodity aid, and project aid. The third category is the most favored by its developmental partners, as it enables these nations to strengthen diplomatic ties with Dhaka and exploit its vast commercial, geopolitical, and resource potential by constructing the required infrastructure. Therefore, a significant portion of the aid allocated by the two prominent Asian powers to Bangladesh is focused on constructing infrastructure for development. Rivalry between India and China in Bangladesh. As one of the geopolitical defining characteristics of the Indian Ocean region, Sino-Indian competition has recently been reflected in several of these initiatives. For instance, China agreed in 2016 to develop 27 projects in Bangladesh, including Mongla, the second-largest seaport in Bangladesh. However, financial support from Beijing did not materialize until December 2022, shortly after India appointed Aegis India Consulting Engineers for its port development project when China officially declared its funding. The Mongla Port Authority maintains that the two initiatives are distinct, as New Delhi's investment is designated for constructing jetties, roadways, parking lots, offices, and a residential complex. In contrast, Beijing's funds are designated for constructing two container terminals and delivery yards. The rapid succession of declarations alludes to a geopolitical rivalry. Bangladesh reportedly cancelled China's financing for the construction of a deep-sea port at Sanadia in the past, citing India's unease with Beijing's expanding presence in the Bay of Bengal as the reason. Dhaka's official decision was not predicated on the findings of a study that forewarned of the detrimental environmental effects associated with the port's construction. Instead, the city prioritized the development of the Matarbari port in collaboration with Japan and the Paradip seaport with multiple nations, including India. In addition to the instances above, there have been assertions that although Beijing has constructed numerous bridges in deltaic Bangladesh, it has abandoned those that would have improved the nation's connectivity with India. It is important to note that the abandonment of these projects has not been attributed to geopolitical competition. China's construction of the barrage across the Teesta River may be seen as the most recent manifestation of this rivalry. The Teesta dilemma. The Teesta is one of the 54 transboundary rivers that Bangladesh and India share. As it flows southward through the Rangpur division, it flows through the hilly Indian states of Sikkim and northern West Bengal before entering Bangladesh. As the principal river for Bangladesh's northern territories and the country's fourth largest river overall, Teesta is vital to the country's agricultural needs, providing food for more than 10 million people and contributing to 14% of the nation's total cereal production. Experts from Bangladesh assert, however, that the construction of dams by India on the bank of this river restricts water flow upstream, thereby influencing the river's discharge into the neighboring nation and preventing the irrigation of more than 100,000 hectares of land. They argue that Bangladesh's water demands were suitably fulfilled, with 6,710 cubic feet per second, entering the country before the construction of the dams, which is equivalent to 5,000 cubic. During the dry season, however, it receives only 1,200 to 1,500 cubic, with occasional drops to 200 to 300 cubic. This has continued to strain the otherwise thriving bilateral relations between India and Bangladesh. Despite the 25th Joint River Commission (JRC) meeting in 1983 concluding an ad hoc agreement, Bangladesh was to receive 36% of Teesta's waters. In 2011, an additional accord was reached, under which India would receive 42.5% of the water and Bangladesh would receive 37.5%. However, this agreement was not finalized, as the Chief Minister of West Bengal, Mamata Banerjee, objected, citing the decrease in the general river flow. Water flow has decreased due to the Teesta Barrage project at Gajoldoba in West Bengal. This project redirects water through the Teesta Mahananda irrigation canal to supply the expanding urban water needs of Shiliguri and Jalpaiguri and paddy fields. The Teesta stretch in Sikkim is home to nearly 30 operational hydropower projects. As a result, the Teesta dispute has become entangled in Indo-Central state politics, particularly considering that rivers are constitutionally designated to be the jurisdiction of the respective state. This has impeded the Indian government's ability to resolve the issue and reach a solution acceptable to all parties involved. Despite repeated discussions between India and Bangladesh on the subject, no progress has been made thus far. India's decision to construct 2 additional canals to divert Teesta water resurfaced the issue in March 2023. As reported, the construction would contradict India's pledge made at the 37th JRC meeting in 2010 to refrain from erecting significant water diversion structures upstream of the Gajoldoba barrage, except for minor irrigation schemes, industrial use, and potable water supply. Thus, Dhaka was ready to dispatch a letter of protest to New Delhi. However, this matter was relegated to the background due to the preoccupation with electoral dynamics since late last year. It should be noted, however, that Bangladesh and China began collaborating in 2022 to construct a multi-purpose barrage and dredge and embank sections of the Teesta to create a singular, more manageable channel through which the water level would be significantly higher. As Bangladesh is a participant in China's Belt and Road Initiative, Teesta is vital to the Chinese government. Nevertheless, the progress of the undertaking was halted because of India's concerns that it would bring China within 100 kilometers of its frontier and near its perilous Shiliguri corridor, the sole terrestrial connection between the politically unstable northeast region of India and China. China nonetheless maintains optimism that work will resume shortly. I am putting neighbors first. Given the geopolitical landscape shaped by rivalries between China and India, Bangladesh has been compelled to employ a diplomacy of balance in its interactions with both nations. An example of diplomacy in action is the stalled Teesta project, exacerbated by Dhaka's recent endeavor to negotiate with India once more regarding this matter. The Indian Minister for External Affairs, S. Jaishankar, was briefed on the Bangladeshi Foreign Affairs Minister shortly after encountering the Chinese ambassador in New Delhi. The Teesta water sharing agreement was discussed, along with other matters, and Mahmud conveyed his positive outlook regarding the prompt resolution of the matter after the forthcoming parliamentary election in India. The Teesta controversy is an enduring source of contention, presenting distinct obstacles for India and Bangladesh while impacting their respective national interests. Therefore, its unresolved status is not due to a lack of robust bilateral relations, rather, it is the result of national complexities that must be resolved before achieving such an accord. Given their proximity, India and Bangladesh have a track record of prolonged disputes that have been amicably resolved. Examples include the Ganga Water Sharing Agreement, which was reached after 25 years, the Maritime Boundary Agreement, which was finalized in 43 years, and the Land Boundary Agreement, which was finalized in 44 years. Nevertheless, the potential for Beijing to augment its influence in Bangladesh following the elections and its involvement in the Teesta dispute introduce a geopolitical aspect to the matter for India. Placing emphasis on the Teesta issue would therefore serve to calm India's apprehensions and safeguard its reputation in Bangladesh.